Good afternoon. I'm Hannah Jean, and I'm here today with economist Shaylee Welch to talk about the Great Recession that struck the U.S. in the late 2000s. How are you today, Shaylee?
I'm good. How are you, Hannah?
Good. So to start us off, maybe you could tell us some of the basic facts of the Great Recession. I think many of us would like to have a better understanding of the time period.
Well, a recession is a temporary economic decline caused by a contraction in the gross domestic product, or GDP. It causes an increase in unemployment rates and a fall in retail sales. Many people lost their jobs and struggled to keep their houses. The U.S. suffered a recession in 2007 and continued until 2009.
To me, it sounds like the Great Depression. What's the difference between a depression and a recession?
That's a good question. A recession is much milder than a depression. The Great Depression was much more destructive and lasted a much longer time than the Great Recession did.
Okay, so what caused the Great Recession?
Well, starting in 2004 and 2005, there was a lot of irrational exuberance in the housing market. This led people to buy houses that they couldn't afford. Sellers had the idea that prices would continue to incline, but that can only happen for so long. In 2006, the housing bubble burst, and the prices of the homes started to decrease. Many homeowners who had taken loans out to buy their homes realized that they would lose money when they tried to resell their houses. This caused a lot of foreclosures, which led to a banking panic and put the nation in the Great Recession.
It sounds like a very stressful time. From what I can tell, the attitude before the recession was to borrow and to pay back later. After the recession, the American people as a whole had a higher tendency to save their money rather than to spend it, and they were less willing to go into debt. Is there any strong impact on our lives today from this recession?
I would say no, because I think that the people have gone back into a habit of spending out of want instead of necessity. There is still a tendency to save, but people spend a lot as well.
So would you say their economic system fluctuates? It does seem that the American demand changes along with business cycle.
That's exactly what I'd say. I think that there is no way to stay in a constant economic state of success, but to repeatedly balance between highs and lows.
What ended this economic recession?
In 2009, Congress passed the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, which allowed over $800 billion in government spending to jumpstart the economy. The idea is to offset the decrease in private spending with an increase in public spending. This act was successful in jumpstarting the economy and in creating new jobs. It started an economic incline that still continues today.
Did the Great Recession have any effect on the rest of the world?
Yes, as the U.S. has one of the strongest and largest economies in the world, its downfall affects many other economies. China, for instance, was a fast-growing economy at the time that suffered because it relied on American exports as a main source of growth.
If two of the strongest economies in the world are in a decline, how does that affect smaller economies?
As the large economies were suffering, they were spending less on the products that the smaller economies need to sell. Latin America, for instance, suffered because China and America weren't buying their products such as minerals, metals, and livestock.
Okay, I have one more question. Have there been any other declines in the economy after the Great Depression besides the Great Recession?
Yes, there have been about 13 other recessions in total since the Great Depression, none of which have been as damaging as the Great Recession of 2007.
Okay, that's all we have time for today. Thanks for joining me, Shaylee, and for filling us in on the facts of the history of the Great Recession.